Hello, one and all, and welcome to the Mom and Pop Video Shop. I am Joel. I am joined by, I'm getting better at this, Tyson. He's over here. Yep. And
I still haven't figured it out.
Yeah, and we are joined, and I know Rick. I said I would bring you on later, but I decided never mind. Surprise! So yeah, we are officially streaming not only on YouTube but on Instagram. I checked, and it is working, Tyson. So there you go. Apparently that's. Although I lied, I'm looking at it now, and all I'm seeing is a image of our background. So I'm not sure.
Right. Well, we said we were going to give ourselves a couple minutes, so
yeah, I'm not seeing. It says broadcast was started. I don't know why we're not showing up there. Let me make sure. Hold on. Here we go. I am live.
Somebody's watching.
Somebody's watching it. So if you're out there and you're seeing it, I'm going to do my best to occasionally check on the comments over there. It says the Mooncats joined. Hi, Mooncats. So if you could see us, Mooncats, or hear anything I'm saying, if you want to tell me in the comments, that would be very helpful. But if you don't, I get it. So yeah, we'll just continue forth as if we're only on YouTube. That'll make life easier. But we are talking tonight. We are actually going to do a watch along video. We're going to do Black Christmas 1974 for the ho 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 holidays. And I don't, did I officially introduce Rick? So Rick is our special guest. He's going to add at least a few IQ points to my end of the room. Tyson's fine on his own.
Oh, certainly me too.
I can always use the heavy lift. But yeah, we also, before we get started on that, I believe we had a little what's in the box video that we wanted to do because we want to do what's in the box. We want to shout out to Midwest Monsters, and Tyson, I will let you take the reins on this, but yeah, we got something kind of cool.
Yeah, so Melissa, aka Midwest Monsters, sent us a couple of tchotchkes. I haven't looked at them out of the package yet, but this goes back to on Halloween. She did something really cool and basically did sort of a random drawing for her fans. And we were lucky enough, Mom and Pop Video Shop got selected. So she basically said, hey, what do you want me to make for you guys? So I think at the time, because I had mentioned how much kind of Joel and I both dig The Thing, I knew we were going to get something themed after John Carpenter's The Thing. But since I'm into witchy stuff too, Melissa was cool enough that we actually got two things, one for the shop and one for me personally. And you don't get nothing for yourself because you chop liver. So I cut open the box. She sent us this very sweet card.
Yes.
I won't. Is that focusing at all? I won't read it, but it was very nice for her. Basically a thank you card. But no, I mean, thank you, Midwest Monsters. All kinds of awesome stickers that we can zhuzh up the counter at the shop with. Plenty of bubble wrap. But I think with that, I believe this one, I'm gonna guess is the one for the shop. So
okay,
sweet Christmas packaging.
All right, open her up,
and I will open her up here.
Well, while you're doing that, I want to say I actually already have something in the shop from the wonderful Midwest Monsters.
I thought that you did.
Yeah, she gave this to me. She gave a lot. I think pretty much all the hosts. I think on Jay of the Dead's new horror movies, got their own special sculpture. I got the gremlin covered in Christmas lights, which is striped to be specific. And it's freaking awesome. I love it. And normally he sits in the display case behind me, but I wanted to bring him out for the purposes of the stream. So
nice.
Yep. Trying to be careful here.
Yeah, don't break it, Tyson.
I know it.
Shake it, don't break it. Took your mama.
Are you ready?
9 months to make it? Yeah.
All I have to say is you got to be fucking kidding me.
Whoa. That's cool, man.
That's nice.
That's very cool. Not a little bit. It's got to go in and out. It's okay. We get the principle of it. That's awesome, man.
I'll see what I can do. Let me just see if maybe on this end I can get it to focus. Hold on a minute. No, still too close. Okay.
Daryl Taylor is on our Instagram stream, and he said, "Gimme."
Attaboy. So very cool. I know it's kind of hard to see it because I'm on the big camera for it's not auto focusing, but the spider head from The Thing, it is very well done, very cool. she does awesome work. So
Yeah,
Melissa,
it's-
Midwest Monsters, thank you so much for this.
Very
And
cool.
then I will, since I'm here.
Yeah, open.
and
Oh,
we got it
yeah, you gotta open the other one.
I'm gonna open one for me. I might have to get a blade of some sort to get into this one. Sorry.
Uh-oh. Okay.
Oh.
While you're doing that, I'm going to adjust myself here. My camera, not myself. I should be.
Everyone at home is
Adjust
getting
what?
the idea of live television. Anything can happen. including-
All right, so here we go. So I had mentioned that I was into kind of witchy occult stuff. Should probably not be a surprise for somebody that works in Mom and Pop, but this is freaking gorgeous. This is a awesome decorative
Oh, cool.
Ouija planchette.
Oh, cool.
Hmm.
And
Now,
I
would you
remember
see-
posting this on Instagram, but the back of it is super freaking
Oh,
cool.
yeah, that's cool. You need to now get yourself one of those antique Ouija boards, and tempt fate.
You know what? So I have seen Witchboard too many
Yep.
times that you know what? Of all the things that I'm into and all the things I will try and dig, I'm not messing around with Ouija
That's
boards.
Probably
Get it.
advisable.
Have you guys covered that one?
Forget it.
Over
Yes,
on
we
Retro?
did. We
Yeah.
did on Spooky Flicks Fest.
Did you like it? All
Oh,
three
I
of
So
you?
did.
again,
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I love that movie. It's,
Oh, I love it.
It's
It's one of my favorites.
It's,
In fact,
it's
that's somewhere
cheese
around
ball,
here,
but
but
I love
like-
it. Yes. I want to watch part 2. I still
There you
haven't
go.
watched
I
that.
love
VHS.
Witchboard. Witchboard 2.
Boom.
Witchboard 3.
Yeah, I want to see Witchboard 2
Yeah.
because it has Amy Dolan's in it. That was the only reason I wanted to see.
I just
Witchboard
noticed
2.
it.
Only
We got
reason
to
watch
stamp.
Pumpkinhead 2 as well.
So Joel, at some point, I would have
Ah.
had you bring it up here now, but make sure when we post this as its own
Yeah.
video that we make sure to include Midwest Monsters Instagram handle.
Indeed, we will.
We'll pop
Yeah,
up in the comments
and
below,
thank
so.
you, and thank you so much because like I said, she gave me a card as well when she gave me the Gremlin. She's awesome. She does such fantastic work, and we really appreciate her doing that.
Amazing
Yeah.
stuff. So
100%.
Melissa, Midwest Monsters, thank you so much
Yep,
again.
thank you, Melissa. We really
thinking of
appreciate it.
us and randomly drawing our name.
Wait, whoa! You're trying to seem like you're trying to make it sound like there's like some kind of
No,
corrupt
it was- As far
shenanigans.
as I know, it was completely random. So
I'm sure it was
I really
completely well.
appreciate it.
To be fair, we ended up being the winners, so it had to be random because there's no way anybody would do that on purpose.
Oh yeah, yeah,
There's no way. There's no way.
exactly.
Thank you, Melissa.
Okay, thank you so much.
All right, here we go. We're gonna go ahead. So basically, the gist of this, as I understand it, I know that Dave McCrae over on his channel, he does a show called Two Guys and Some Bullshit, and he and his buddy do these from time to time. That seems like a fun thing to do. I don't know who's going to want to really watch it or like participate with us, but anybody that does, you're obviously more than welcome. We are going to watch Black Christmas. We'll do the 3, 2, 1 countdown, and as we learned from Lethal Weapon, especially if you're sitting on a commode that is wired to blow, we're going to do it on 1. Right? Isn't that what they end up doing? It's like 3, 2, 1, and then we're going to go.
One.
So yeah,
Yeah.
with 1 off the commode. So and I know that that made Daryl happy, me making random Lethal Weapon references.
Wait. He loves Lethal Weapon, but didn't he not like Die Hard? Didn't he have a problem with Die Hard?
No, he loves Die Hard.
Who doesn't like Die Hard out of the bunch? I could have swore someone didn't like Die Hard.
No, I'm pretty sure Daryl loves it. I think it's really his favorite Christmas movie.
I sense sarcasm.
That's my other retro movie geek people. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm-
And just so I can say this, because we've actually got several people who've joined us via Instagram, including Barely Ashley. She's there as well. The Mooncats, I mentioned them already. And Jacob Gramlich, thank you all for being here. This is apparently a brand new feature on
Jake.
StreamYard.
You know what? Jake gets a special shout out because I'm pretty sure that he's supposed to be at his kid's winter Christmas concert.
Maybe
'cause
he
he made
is,
the
and
comment.
he's in there,
If he's on the phone, so yeah.
But
That is that's like Parent of the Year award, Jake, for that.
Very
Dude.
nice.
If you're sitting out in the auditorium at your kid's Christmas concert watching Black Christmas with us.
that's hilarious. Carlos Warlock
so.
just joined, by the way. Daryl commented, "I just hate Joel." I don't know why he would say such a thing. The best part is he's not here to do anything about it.
Do I know?
I'll never have to, I'm sure my phone will blow up with boxers of him berating me with profanity, but I'll be okay. So so let's go ahead and get rocking and rolling here. We're actually 5 minutes earlier than I intended to. So we'll watch this movie, and as we watch it, we're going to talk about it. Obviously, if you're at home playing along, feel free to do so. But we're just going to talk about like just different aspects of the movie, trivia, and in general, just probably, be bozos. Well, I'm speaking for me and Tyson on that one. Rick, I won't throw you under the bus on that.
Oh, no.
All right. So,
and just so we're I was going to say, just so we're synced up to let everybody know, I believe that Joel, you, Rick, and myself are all three streaming this either on Amazon Prime, or I think Rick and I are watching it on Shudder. But
I'm
we're
doing
watching the streaming version.
Shudder through AMC Plus. I'm doing it basically the same way. Yeah.
But what I was getting at, so if the folks watching, if you're gonna join us and watch this with us, Joel, do the countdown. But regardless of whether you've got a hard copy of this and you're watching it on a DVD or Blu-ray player, or you're streaming it, I think we're all queued up on the very first frame, black screen at 0 seconds, and then as we watch this throughout, we'll just kind of chime in here and there and kind of let you know where we're at in terms of the time code and kind of what's going on. Obviously,
we will.
So
and
if somebody joins late, they can catch up with us.
Yeah, and I want to just say a quick thing, which is, and there's something they're going to have to work out in the kinks on StreamYard. I was trying to type a response, and everything I type on my end, I don't know if it's showing up in the chat this way for everybody else, is backwards. It's literally showing like a mirror image. It's super weird. I don't know why. I'm not going to try to figure it out right now. So I'll just read comments. I'm probably not going to respond to them.
That's some Exorcist shit.
Yeah, it's really weird. I don't know why it's doing that. Don't know why it's doing that. Oh, who dat? I guess we've got one comment from ourselves. Was that
Tyson? Oh, yeah, that was me.
Okay, there you go. All right, from YouTube. All right, so let's go. You guys ready to rock and roll?
Yeah, man.
I'm hovering. All right, so we'll do a 3, 2, 1. Hit play. All right, here you go. 3, 2, 1. Everyone seeing film funding?
Yes.
All right, cool.
Funding.
Cool. All right, good. As long as we're in a few seconds of each other, I don't think it really matters. And if at any point anybody who's listening hears audio from the movie, please let us know, because I do not want to tick off the YouTube and presumably the Instagram gods. Hopefully that will not show up. All right. So we're seeing the opening credits. Yep, the great Margot Kidder. Marion Waldman plays the house mother.
Mrs. Mack, right?
Oh, yes, Mrs. Mack. And as we're seeing the opening credits, I did want to say I was hoping to have it in time. Alas, it will not be. Rick, I thought you'd appreciate this. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay. So I thought you would appreciate this. I have, for years and years, my personal Holy Grail movie poster, original movie poster I wanted to get was for Black Christmas.
Right.
But I don't know if you've ever noticed how much those SOBs go on eBay. It is obscene. Like obscene. Like the cheapest I've ever truly seen it was $500-$600. Usually they're $800 to $900.
Right.
Which it's like, I can't. So needless to say, there was one that was available that was going for about $150, but it was really tattered. It was not in great shape. And so I was like, I'm not gonna pay $150 for a tattered poster. Sorry. Out of nowhere, I've been watching one, but it's one of those ones where it says make an offer kind of deals. They were originally asking, I think, $600. They hit me up with an offer half of that. And I was like, well, I still didn't want to pay that much because I'm a cheap bastard. And I thought, and by the way, I forgot to mention, it's autographed by Art Hindle. And I looked to find his autograph other places online, and it's definitely his autograph.
Right. And of course, the most awesome winter jacket on the planet.
We're back. All right, right now we're doing. By the way, we're doing POV. By the way, worst commentary ever. We're not talking about the movie at all that we're supposed to be watching. What a shocker in Joel Land.
Directed by Bob Clark. Of A Christmas Story fame,
yes, indeed. I didn't talk.
Finish your story about your poster because it is cool.
Well, because Billy's about to make his way up the trellis and he's watching the party. So the poster, $300. I was like, the whole thing where you could offer a counter offer. I was like, okay, why not? I offered 2. I'll be a son of a bitch. They took it. I was like, and it's like in great shape. It's got the folds in it, but it is in shockingly good shape. And the guy had very high ratings at 100%, so I felt like I wasn't probably buying from him. And it was a legit poster. Like it has on the bottom, it's one of those because the early 70s. It has the either the title or the number thing on the. I kind of did my due diligence because before I'm going to drop that kind of money on a friggin' poster, I'm like, But that's now my holy grail. That's the most I've ever spent on a poster. But I'm like, I was hoping to have it here for this, but alas, it's not going to be here in the shop at time. So what are you going to do?
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. And it's got Art Hindle's autograph, which I thought was cool. If Olivia Hussey ever shows up at a con, I would love to get her to sign it.
You get
All
the
right,
best stuff with that stuff, man. Pumpkin, not Pumpkinhead. The
Offspring.
poster.
With Jeff
Yeah,
Burr
with
and
the
yeah,
signature
yeah.
on it. That was nice.
Yeah, so we're now seeing the party scene with Margot Kidder wearing her amazing black choker. I believe, Tyson, you said you had a theory about the choker.
In certain circles that I'm part of, we refer to that as a blowjob black belt.
Which I never heard before in my and I'm sure Daryl's
Forgot.
shocked by my naivete. I was like, oh, I get it.
Right.
I get it.
So
It was the 70s, so what are you gonna do?
that's awful. That's,
It really,
that's
it
awful
really
of
is.
me.
You should be ashamed of yourself. Now no one's watching, which not that they really were before.
So
Turned everybody. off.
what's her face's boyfriend in this with that if
Oh,
I took
Andrea
this hat,
Martin.
that's what my hair would look like. Yeah, I would look like that dude on the couch. If,
Oh, the one
think
that does the Santa later
Yeah,
on. I can't remember.
yeah.
I'll have to actually.
Uh-huh.
I do have IMDb open. I don't remember. You'd think I'd have everybody's name memorized from this movie. It is the boyfriend is played by another other than is it Michael Rappaport? No, it's Leslie. I think he's Leslie Carlson, right? Is that the boyfriend? I believe so.
not sure.
You know, it's kind of cool though. It's the second other slasher movie I can think of where like the chubby guy actually has a cute chick. It was
That's
My
true.
Bloody Valentine.
That's true. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Shelley got no love, as we
None
established in
whatsoever.
part 3.
Yeah.
Poor Shelley.
So I was
Hey, do we
rewatching this
know-
again the other day, and I started thinking about this. You notice how they say it's the moaner again. So
Mhm.
the calls have already been coming in.
Mona.
Yeah,
So when
that's
you
true.
really think about it, it's kind of scary that he's more than likely already been in that attic a few times.
Yeah.
you know?
That's a good point. So it's almost like presumably, unless he's been calling from a different location. I mean, he might have been. However,
Yeah.
I like the idea better that he
Maybe.
has. When we open on this movie, it's just his return. So maybe he is a student. Maybe there's something else going on, like during the day, he was, out doing whatever. Yeah,
Right.
that's a cool idea. I like that idea.
I love this house, man. I said this reminds me
Oh
of my
yeah,
grandparents' house growing
The
up.
very
But-
first DVD release,
Multi-house.
I think they may have ported the documentary over. They go back to the house, and it still looks
Oh, cool.
pretty much the same.
yeah. Oh, there's
Art
there's
Hindle
our
does
Art
that.
Hindle.
There
and
it
his
is,
amazing
man.
jacket.
Look at that.
Yeah.
I want
Fur
it.
is murder, Art.
Hey, so do it. I forget. Where's this supposedly taking place? The fictional story.
I
Oh,
think
it's
Do we
in
know
Canada.
what school?
Yeah,
it's in
still
Canada.
I believe.
Yeah, I think
okay.
I don't think they ever 100% say as far as like what country it's in, but yeah, I always just assumed it was Canada. That of course was Lynn Griffin, who plays Claire, who let's say spoiler alert may not be long for this world.
My phone lagged up for a quick second. What is the image you're seeing literally right now? Is it Art
I'm
Hindle and Claire?
I'm seeing Margot Kidder, and she just passed Jess and Andrea Martin. Now
I think you're a little behind, Rick.
Yeah, I'm
The
gonna see.
timestamp, and this goes for anybody watching too. We're at 6 minutes and 25 seconds.
Yep, that's what I'm. At.
Gotcha.
Yep.
All right.
It's fine. As long as you're within the ballpark. I mean, I don't think I'm going to spoil anything for you.
So who's which actress is this, Joel? With the
Oh,
glasses?
Olivia Hussey? You talking about Jess?
No, the other one. That she
Oh,
was talking to.
Andrea
Yes.
Martin. That's Andrea Martin from SCTV. and
Yeah, and she was in the 2006 remake. Yeah,
yes, she plays the house mother in the 2006. Yes.
right.
Yeah, which
Yeah.
was a nice nod. That was kind
Yeah,
of cool.
it was. That was cool. And you know what? I had never seen the 2006 film until right before the one that shall not be named.
Mhm.
It was the same day that came out. So, because I was doing it for HMP, and I watched it, and I didn't hate. I remember a lot of people talk smack about it, and it's not this. It's not the original to me ever. But it's,
No.
for
I
what
liked
it is,
though.
it's a goofy, fun, over the top gore fest, is what it is. I appreciated they didn't try to make it just a PG-13 toned down version like other movies did.
Now, something I wanted to bring up while we were watching this and everything is like the clear comparison to Halloween. You know,
Mhm.
this is obviously a proto slasher, one of the earliest ones, but it's a movie that always gets kind of missed in the conversation a little bit.
Yeah.
And I think one of the key differences, as much as I like Halloween, Halloween's a scary movie. It's a roller coaster. This I find more disturbing.
Mm-hmm.
Like these phone calls, man. Nick Mancuso did
Yeah.
these voices.
Yeah.
You remember him from Stingray, that TV show in the 80s?
I know who he is. I never watched
Yeah.
Stingray, but I know who he is. Yeah.
He was the bad guy in Rapid Fire with Brandon Lee.
Yep.
Yeah, that guy.
Mm.
And it's just him. Only he did these voices. So to picture, good looking 1974 Nick Mancuso in a little studio,
Yeah.
I would have loved to see what he looked like that day.
Yeah. And it's interesting too, because even though by 74, we had gotten more, I guess, what should we say, risque in language. Obviously, we had, Deep Throat had already been. I mean, definitely, it's not like we were in the 60s as far as language and whatnot. But I would say, I wonder how most mainstream audiences reacted to some of the phone conversations, like what he's specifically saying. I feel like
even by today's standard, man, this is pretty obscene.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It's definitely obscene. Yeah.
The most recent time we've heard the C word is The Boys. So
yeah,
they don't throw that one out much.
Yeah, that's true.
We talked about how creepy that is too. How he's super batshit crazy, and then the very last thing he says, "I'm going to kill you."
Exactly. That's what makes it so
so
creepy. Is that he's able to do that? He turns
and
it
he
off.
sounds, and in that moment, I feel like there's nobody who would even be watching this that doesn't know the ending and everything else about this movie. So I'll assume anybody watching this, you have seen this movie, and I'm not spoiling it. When Peter comes into play, that voice at the end of that call does sound like him. Like it has he has a similar tonal quality to him, which of course I believe was totally meant to be a red herring, but because I was telling Tyson this, I think the killer's hands, and obviously they probably used whoever's hands was available that day to get, when he's coming down up the trellis and down
Deborah
the ladder.
Hill.
Yeah, maybe Deborah Hill. Maybe she was on, in the neighborhood filming another film. But they don't look like Peter's hands. Like if Peter's supposed to be a concert pianist, and the hands that you see of the killer when it's his POV are definitely much more meaty, and they just don't look. They look almost more like a worker hands. You know what I mean? They just don't feel like, even if Keir Delay, or however you say his name, even if his hands actually were like that, I just feel like when I see those hands, I don't think concert pianist hands. You know what I mean? There's a certain elegance and grace I would think you would see in those.
Any of the shots when he was climbing the ladders and whatnot, that was actually the cameraman. Because they actually mounted it. Yeah, they mounted it to his shoulder, and then they put like a fisheye lens. So that way you could just get the image like that. I
gotta mention that was difficult.
We obviously haven't seen any murders or anything yet, and I mean, going into this, even in 1974, I think people probably knew what was to come. But imagine though, for the day, like the suspense of this, you know what I mean? Knowing that some dude's in this house with all these chicks and none of them know it. You know what I mean? Yeah. I mean, at this point, you still don't know that it's him on the phone, right? Yeah. I mean, we do now, but
it's funny that whole. I know I've told this story a million times, but I haven't told it for this feed, so you guys get to hear it again. Which is, for me personally, this movie, I feel like a connection to it because I remember being young and my dad telling me the only two movies he ever saw in the theater that truly, other than being when he was a kid, that scared him as an adult were Alien and this one. And I remember thinking, like, because it's your dad's, you're like, oh God, something scared my dad that bad. And I never could find it anywhere. It was never available. And then combined with, he told me the story with a bit of a faulty memory of how it played out. He said that the movie, oh wait, hold on, we've got a death is happening. Claire is being murdered. Are you on that part, Rick? I assume.
Yeah.
And we've got a house coat.
And we've got a moo house coat,
which is more terrifying, actually.
Which is probably more terrifying than a bag over the head. Yeah, for sure.
And folks, we are at 12 minutes and 15 seconds.
Yes. Yeah.
In case you're wondering.
Yeah. She's not going to
Have
bed.
we talked about Olivia Hussey's sweater yet? I know we talked about this earlier, but
no. The
I love her.
The hands.
I love her. I love her
like this
crocheted sweater.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah.
Yeah. So they're like that. It's like, I think it's meant to be like wings or something, but it totally looks like hands groping her. That's basically what it looks like.
So, and I think this was before we went live, but you guys were talking about the soundtrack, and you guys have both got it on vinyl. But aside from the Christmas songs, I love the little cues where it's like the it sounds like the church choir.
Yeah.
Every time you see a hint of Billy,
I real quick want to give a shout out to Melissa, Midwest Monsters. It says she joined. I don't know if she's still on or not, but hi, Melissa. We actually just recorded a tribute to you and the wonderful gift you gave us. So we're gonna actually once this gets finished,
I'm gonna handy. I put
over the weekend. I'm gonna cut that out, put it out as a separate video, and link to you and your awesome Instagram page. So thank you again if you're watching currently.
Yeah, and speaking of the soundtrack, I remember when I bought it. I would usually do all my paperwork after the kids. My wife went to bed. Yeah. I went ahead and put that on. I had to turn it off because it was like 1 o'clock in the morning. I'm in the office, that's creepy. And it's creepy.
It's creepy. Really Carl Zitterer?
Yeah, he's done a few different Canadian horror film scores, but that's definitely his best.
He did the music for A Christmas Story. I just watched Christmas Story the other day with my kids, and there's his name. I was like, that's
makes
right.
Sense.
Yeah, totally makes sense.
I love Mrs. Mack and all of her hidden booze throughout the house.
Do you feel like that's something you can relate to, Tyson? Is that what you're trying to?
So, real quick side story. This is funny as hell. When I was working for an estate sale business, we would go to all these houses and set up these, people in their estate sales and whatever. And you know how I am about my books in addition to my movies, Joel. So, I actually bid on a set of they're like 1985 World Book encyclopedias, right? Mm-hmm. I thought, I'd like to get a full set of encyclopedias. Cool. So anyway, so I bought it, I won it, I got it home, I flipped through it, and like the letter X, somebody had done that, had cut the thing out, and there was like a pack of Trojan condoms from, I don't even know what the expiration date. I still got them on the shelf. I never took them out, but whoever had it was stashing their prophylactics in the old World Book 1985.
We have Mr. RJ Rackley.
Hey.
Oh crap! I'm late. What I missed? So happy I made it. Hand pink waving. Here, I can throw his stuff up on the screen. What you missed is the opening to the greatest slasher horror film of all time.
Yeah.
In my
RJ, opinion. We're at 15 minutes and 5 seconds into the movie. If you want to sync up with us,
give or take. Hi guys.
Okay, so we know when Joel saw this for the first time. What about you, Tyson? When's the first time?
I was in college. Just so I could say, I don't think I finished that. I was in college. I finally got it on VHS and saw it there. But go ahead. Yes, Tyson. What about you?
So I saw it in the first time in high school, and I think I mentioned this in the little mini review that we already posted a couple weeks ago, Joel. But I didn't. So I was probably 15, Rick, to answer your question, which would have been 1997, 98-ish, I would say, somewhere in there.
He's a young.
I wasn't that crazy about it because as I'm watching this, I'm like, oh, it's another killer POV movie. I've seen this, in Halloween and 100 times because I hadn't earned my horror pedigree or my horror appreciation degree yet. So it didn't hit me at the time that this sort of set the tone for Halloween and those types of movies. I didn't put 2 and 2 together. This came out 4 years before Halloween. People always talk about how, I don't know, we used the word proto-slasher earlier and how this influenced so many films, but I think, Joel, we pointed out that it's not the sort of first slasher, like I think some people kind of like to label it. We talked about, Psycho, I think probably influenced this type of film.
Those are people always bring up Bay of Blood, Peeping Tom. But here's the thing, and those all have elements. I feel like, though, this, unless I'm mistaken, is the first one that truly has that formula that we
have the actual trope starting to develop.
All together. All together in one thing. That's what it feels like to me. Yeah.
Right.
Oh, shock shot of Claire. We didn't mention this earlier. Peter,
love the close up too, man. I mean, that's for the time. I mean, this was shocking. Like mother in the rocking chair at the end of Psycho,
and that voice singing as we dissolve to the clock tower on the campus. It's just so because it's the way he's like trying to do almost like in a motherly maternal voice. It's so creepy, man. That's the thing about this movie. It gives you the friggin' creeps. By the way, RJ says he humbly apologizes. As always, RJ, you are forgiven.
Well,
relative. But at least for this, I can't say you're forgiven for everything, but at least for this.
By the way, you mentioned that shot, Tyson. Are you guys familiar with a lot of Bob Clark's work outside of like Christmas Story, like Turk 182, obviously Porky's?
It's funny. I'm more familiar
Porky's, I think, is the only other one I've seen.
Death Dream and Children Shouldn't Play with Dead Things and Christmas Story. I saw Porky's years and years and years ago, but I think, and of course, Baby Geniuses, because why not?
Why you got to do that, man? That's
I know. I'm sorry.
Turk 182.
I think I've seen. Who was in Turk 182?
It was Kim Cattrall, Robert. Is it Robert Ulrich? Was he from Vegas, right? The TV show Vegas.
Yeah.
And Timothy Hutton.
I remember the box. Like I remember the video box of it. I don't know that I ever saw it though. I didn't know that was Bob Clark.
Kind of a social protest sort of movie in a sense. No?
Yeah. So of all of his, which is your favorite, Rick?
I would actually say Death Dream. I'm a huge fan of that movie.
I love it too.
Done. Very, very disturbing.
Well, you'll appreciate this because Death Dream I didn't see for a long time, and I got the. I guess did Shout Factory put? No, it wasn't Shout Factory. Who put that out?
No, it's Blue Underground.
There, that's who it was. And I hadn't seen it yet until like a couple years ago. I freaking loved it. It is literally like an hour from my house. The entire it was shot in Brooksville, Florida. My uncle and my aunt lived there for years, and it's funny because in the movie. It's still a lot of Brooksville still looks like that. It still looks, yeah. So it's still a very sleepy kind of, Florida town. And I always thought it'd be fun to shoot something like a horror short in that area and try to, but if you're ever in the area, we'll have to, we'll make a trek up to Brooksville. I love the poster. Yeah. We're in, Claire's room and her father's realizing his sweet little girl might not be so innocent after all. The influence of the hippies is very apparent on poor Claire.
I just want to point out, too, for the record, that Margot Kidder was a fox in this movie, even with her BJ black belt choker necklace,
or maybe because of
because she did Sisters was a year before this or the year after.
It was this is 74. I feel like Sisters was 72 or 73. I don't think it was 75.
I think it was earlier.
Yeah,
she even looked younger in that.
Yeah, I know.
Mrs. Mack trying to cover.
And this is what really makes this movie great to me is because Bob Clark's sense of humor is infused in the characters, like of Mrs. Mack. It's never fun, like it's never played as a joke, right? The horror and the terror of what's happening to these people is always played very straight.
The humor is never campy with him.
No, it just comes naturally out of the character. Yeah. Like I totally see her act. I've met people who've acted this way, so it feels very real. But it's funny that she's trying to cover up the two hippies having sex in the peace symbol, and so the dad doesn't but of course he can see it. He knows exactly what it is.
Well, you figure it was a welcome relief valve at that point for the audience watching this back in '74.
Oh yeah.
And the thing about Bob Clark's humor is I don't know how he's able to do it. The people seem like they're genuinely laughing in moments. Later in the film with Nash, when he gives him the phone number of Felicio.
And the partner is laughing in the background.
You take that and then you go back to Porky's when they're doing when they're talking about having a lineup for the strange penis through the wall. The two coaches are laughing, so it looks genuine. It doesn't look like they're acting. You know? Yeah. So I don't know how he was able to get that performance out of people.
It's pretty impressive. RJ gives us hippie sex.
Well, yeah.
Yes.
So was this
that's what we got?
Was this this is the earliest sort of sorority house horror movie that I can think of. In addition to the first Christmas horror movie that I can
for sure,
think
because
of.
like how was a House of Sorority Row was
a decade later we started getting all the
early 80s,
the slasher stuff.
So it's interesting. Both you guys saw this once you were older.
I was like 19.
I saw this when I was like maybe 7 or 8 years old, but I didn't see it under the title Black Christmas. It aired on NBC under a different title, Stranger in Our House.
Stranger in the
House or Stranger in Our House.
So my dad, I didn't finish that story. So my dad told me that he had heard that so Ted Bundy kills the girls in Tallahassee at FSU in 1978. So I was under the impression, again, as a kid, I didn't know what year this movie came out and like that. He told me at the time it was called A Stranger in the House when he saw it, and that it got pulled. And I thought he meant it got banned from movie theaters because of the Ted Bundy thing. But I finally did some research a few years ago, and I found what he was talking about it was called A Stranger in the House, and it was pulled from, I think it was like an NBC or ABC movie of the week kind of thing. Yeah. And it was it was in February of 78. It was the week that Bundy did what he did. So it just happened to be coming out that week. So they did the thing where they pulled it because of that, which, in good taste, I suppose, for doing that. But yeah, it was that. So that always kind of stuck with me as being connected to the Bundy thing, that it feels like it was, and of course then Ann Rule writes the book, The Stranger Beside Me. So growing up, like I always conflated all those things together. Plus I've said before, if you've done any research at all on Bundy, his victim typology was my mom. My mom was this very beautiful brunette, straight black hair, parted in the middle, early to mid 20s when she had me. And it always freaked me the hell out that if he had just come a little further south, you know what I mean? Like that idea was so horrifying to me as a kid that like that combined with Black Christmas has just always made it, just stick with me. So, but yeah, it's funny. So the poster, I didn't even get to tell you this. So the poster I got doesn't say Black Christmas on it. It says Silent Night, Evil Night.
Yeah, that was the alternate title that Warner Brothers tried to use. Yeah,
and that was because the guy I bought it from is actually a Canadian dealer. I think he mostly does sports memorabilia, like hockey stuff. But he happened to have this poster and something else from Black Christmas. So yeah, but yeah. So again, actually, I always say this. I think all three of those titles are good titles. I like all.
Oh yeah, yeah. I would love to see that one from TV though, because they would have had to cut out so much just with language. I wonder how they found their way around that if they redubbed it. But even watching it as a kid, it still freaked the hell out of me.
Oh yeah,
in a TV format.
Yeah, what are you gonna say, Tyson?
All those cigarette. Well, I said, we pointed out with Margot Kidder. I think it's only fair to point out that Olivia Hussey is also a fox.
Yes, Olivia Hussey was always just a beautiful, beautiful woman.
So, am I the only one? First time I ever saw Olivia Hussey in
Romeo and Juliet
was like freshman English.
Yep. And Romeo and Juliet.
Had to sign it. Had to take a permission slip home to mom to sign.
They showed boobies, which apparently, I guess, as of recently, did you guys hear? And I don't remember who the guy who played Romeo is off the top of my head, but I guess, I don't know if they were like suing or they're doing something because they claimed that they were technically minors.
That rings a bell.
That Franco Zeffirelli essentially lied to them and didn't tell them that he was going to be doing that. And so, obviously, I feel the fact that they were minors, it shouldn't have been doing that. Too. Oh yeah, it's a great shot. What do you, Rick, offhand? Yeah. What is the I know that they do. There was like a diopter or some kind of
split diopter.
Yeah, split diopter, right? Yeah.
Oh, yeah. That's the thing,
instantly,
man.
folks, we were
at credit for his shots. His camera composition was amazing.
Oh yeah, it's got a lot of great.
This movie, especially, I feel like is brilliant. 25 minutes and 30 seconds, folks.
Yes, and we've had several more people join us on the Instas. The problem with Instagram is I can't tell if we're even playing on there properly. I'm just seeing our background. And I honestly don't even know if it's working, so I'm just going to let it lie. But RJ contributing, as always, with Bubies.
Bubies.
Yeah. Oh, this part. What your mother and I must know is. Oh, my God. And that's the other thing. What I love is how you just get these little crumbs of a backstory, right? You hear about Agnes. You hear about the baby. What your mother and I must know. You don't know what happened. You just know it was bad. And it obviously contributed to this guy. Now we're with Nash.
Guys, what?
Go ahead. I love Nash.
What year was When a Stranger Calls?
That was later. That was in like 80 or 81. So once again, it was another trope that people, if they don't watch these movies with the idea of what time they're made.
Was it 79? I feel like it was 79. I'm pulling that on my butt. I could be wrong, but I saw it not that long ago. That's the only reason I'm bringing that up, because I agree, because it doesn't matter. It's still 5 years after this came out. And that's why I think it's so funny is I've heard people say that this movie, they'll watch it years later. They'll be like, oh, it's got the whole, how many times have we seen that? It's like, it started here. Context matters, kids. It started here.
Well, and I mentioned that I did not appreciate that the first time I saw this. I was one of those smartasses.
You were a little kid, to be fair. You were a little kid.
And then, unless I'm mistaken, this was tough to track down for a while there. I feel like mid 90s to around the time the remake came out, right? Like this was hard to find.
Yeah, you could only get it on VHS.
Early 2000s.
The only way.
Yeah. Real quick, just to verify, Rick, you did say When a Stranger Calls. That's the one you said, right?
Yeah.
The Carol Kane and why am I? Oh, come on, Joel, don't say it. I always want to say Brian Dennehy, even though I know he played the dad in Home for the
Charles
Holidays.
Jourdan.
Thank you. That's it, Charles Jourdan. I don't know. I always want to say Brian Dennehy whenever I think of.
See, and it could be debated
Sheriff
that
Teasel.
the best part of When a Stranger Calls is that first 20 minutes, and after that, it gets bogged down into
like
almost
a
procedural.
Which I like procedurals, but yeah, it's weirdly. And honestly, I also found, it was interesting to me how the killer, like you find out everything about him. Hold on, here's your scene, Tyson.
Here's the we gotta watch the phone number.
Yeah. Well, that backs up your theory about the caller.
You're right. Right.
Yeah. And that's what's so funny. I wonder how many people, not even kids, but people our age, are confused by the way she gives the phone number, because we forget like the way they would do.
Yeah, with the extension.
Yeah,
I'm young enough that I never made any phone calls with that.
No, I didn't either. In fact, I think the only thing I remember changing majorly with phones is I remember when I would go to my grandmother's, who lived in Winter Haven, which is, a good hour from St. Pete where we lived, and Tampa. We all had the same area code. But then it started to change. It was like the St. Pete Tampa one. And like, I remember when they because there's so many people, I guess they had to like do something where they would start to divide out. And then we ended up with, St. Pete has its own, Winter Haven has its own, Tampa has, they all had their own area code. That was the only thing I remember from being a kid, but not the exchange and all that. I don't know about you, Rick, if you had any experience with like a 5-digit phone number, whatever they were.
Yeah, we had that going on too. It's funny with Nash. Nash is like this neighborhood. Notice how we have these bumbling cops in movies.
Yeah,
we have Nash. We've got the cops in Halloween 5. You got the deputies in Last House on the Left.
Yeah.
The Town That Dreaded Sundown.
Yep. Oh, played by the
Charles B. Pierce.
Yeah. And is it Ben Johnson in that too? Does he play like a Fed or something?
Mm-hmm. He's a marshal.
Yeah, he's
a marshal, U.S. Marshal. Yeah. Well, but that's interesting though too. If you think like certain movies like Last House, all the cops are just all bumbling, right? Mm-hmm. But whereas with Town, The Dreaded Sundown, or
by the way, angriest fucking piano solo.
Oh yeah, ever. Yeah, they don't. I feel like probably if he had just been maybe a few years later.
This isn't improv jazz. I don't know what the fuck this is, but
I feel like a few years later he could have like totally been at like some dive bar doing like improvisation.
This is a little piece I like to call Toddler on the Steinway.
Yeah, it's so funny because you would think, I get the whole point is it's to play this discordant music, which actually reminds us of some of the theme music that plays, which again is creating more and more of a red herring that Peter did it. But
sure.
But the problem is, as a trained concert pianist, I could see him missing some notes. But this is like if I tried to do a recital, it's like, I'm just hitting the keys. I think it's, I don't know why would be so. I get he's distracted. Oh, and by the way, RJ said he does not see the video. You don't see the video, RJ, because we can't show the video. We can only talk about it as we watch it. And theoretically, those at home that want to watch it along with us, mainly because YouTube would strike us down with great vengeance if we allow
furious anger.
Yes, indeed.
Right. So, RJ, if you want, go track down a streaming version of Black Christmas, and we are currently, for everybody else, at 31 minutes and 18 seconds.
Indeed.
You want to track it down and try to sync up with us. John Saxon.
They can open up 2 YouTube pages. I think the Shout Factory site actually has it too.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you don't have to pay for it.
Joel, have we talked about in the past? My wife adores John Saxon, like
because she's a good person. She's a good person.
He was a horrible father in Nightmare on Elm Street, but she like loves him as Nancy's dad. Like she just like
because he has this quality to him where he's so, what it is, you feel safe with him. Mm-hmm. No matter what, that's why I was going to say earlier. And by the way, RJ told us he's double dipping because he's also commenting on the Instagram. Mm-hmm. But to me, the whole idea of like the bumbling cops, like we were talking about earlier, he is like Ben Johnson in Town That Dreaded Sundown. He adds this level of, I know this word gets so overused, but like the gravitas, right? He's this strong force that you feel like he's in charge. He's a leader. You feel safe with the guy. Like if that guy, is
you let your guard down when he's on screen.
Yes, very much so.
Yeah, everything. What's John Saxon? He's amazing.
Favorite John Saxon movie?
This one, duh.
Oh, yeah. Rick, you got a favorite?
Battle Beyond the no, probably this, and I liked him in Nightmare on Elm Street. He was
do too. Yeah.
Pretty much anything he was in. I mean, he's only in Tenebrae for 10 minutes total. If that.
Oh, there it is. Yeah,
that's my favorite one.
Yeah,
Tenebrae. Even looking at.
Yeah,
I like him in Tenebrae.
All I know is he's played a cop enough that they should have just given him an honorary badge.
Yeah,
okay,
really.
If you see people, you can arrest
I regret he was at Spooky Empire, Joel, many years ago, and I regret I did not have a chance to meet him before he.
Me
before
too.
He passed away.
We were at a show where we were vendors, and when you're a vendor, you're usually having breakfast in the hotel with people, and he was like maybe 15 feet from us, and I should have just went up and just thanked him for all of his work or something, So
yeah,
he's a handsome devil too.
Yeah, he really was.
Absolutely.
Yeah, he really was. I think it's funny that we take those moments, right? Those are the things that you regret is the not doing. So I remember they had like a I think around 2012, 13, maybe 2013. I feel like in that time frame, because it's when I met Brandon Adams from People on the Stairs and Sean Whalen from People on the Stairs, and George Romero was at Spooky, and I met him and got a picture with him. But I can't remember if it was that show or if it was a one around that time period, but they had the cast from Texas Chainsaw. So they had Marilyn Burns, Gunnar Hansen, everybody's there. And at the time, I remember thinking, well, I'm sure they'll do another one. They'll have this crew back. And there we are.
Gunnar passed away. Right?
Yep. And it was like shortly thereafter. Although I do have a drop, thanks to the great Peter, for Forgotten, back when it was Forgotten Flicks, of Gunnar Hansen doing the, this is Gunnar Hansen and you're listening to. So we did get that, which was cool. So Peter met him, which is neat.
That's cool.
Well, RJ wrote, let's see, RJ gave us a comment. Those that attempt to destroy my brothers and sisters.
He's behind. We made that joke like 5
minutes ago. I know. No, actually, I'm behind because I think he posted it a while ago. I'm now getting to it. So Margot Kidder is apparently a happy drunk sometimes, but an angry drunk.
She's shit-faced this entire movie.
But see, you know what I like about this movie too is again, it's those giving the audience just morsels of a backstory without over-explaining everything. She's in pain. It's very obvious she's in pain. She uses all of this bravado and, partying, like everything she does, to mask the pain. But we don't get into why. We don't know what is her backstory. But we can imagine, right? We can imagine what is going on with her. It's sort of like the situation with Jess and Peter. The fact that they're let's say right now they're dealing with the fact of she wants to abort the baby, and he obviously is not taking well, as we're about to see as he's taking out on this piano with a microphone stand. So that's bad.
I don't know what the going rate for a Steinway was in 1974.
I got to
this some bitch is going to jail.
Yeah, I feel like
I'm sure it's a stand-in. It's a stand-in piano.
Yeah. Oh, you mean it's not like, what was it, Hateful Eight, where Kurt Russell? Do you remember that story? I don't know if it's apocryphal. I don't know if it's BS or not. But I did need the guitar he smashes. Wasn't that on loan, and it was some super expensive?
Yeah.
I heard that same thing.
Yeah.
What's more terrifying though, him destroying the piano or the jacket he's wearing? The jacket was terrifying.
The fucking jacket's bitching. I would.
No, hold on. Art Hindle's jacket or Peter's jacket?
No, Peter's jacket.
Either one. I would. Look. I'd wear either one.
I would wear Art Hindle's.
Shopping. Yeah.
And for the record, if I could have tracked down Olivia Hussey's groping sweater, I'd have worn it for the show.
That would have been pretty amazing. That would have been amazing.
Hindle actually talked about that. He talks about that jacket in the commentary.
Yeah. I remember that. Yes, I remember hearing him talk about that. I think he still has it, right? You know what he said?
Did he? Did he actually have it? Or he wished he had it.
I thought, my memory is, it's been a few years since I watched the commentary for this. My memory is he said he still had it, but I could be wrong.
So real quick here, we're at, just for everybody, we're at 37 minutes and 6 seconds, and this is the scene where they're talking about another missing girl, right? Nobody from the sorority. This is another,
like a 12 or 13-year-old girl. Yeah.
Yeah, I'd forgotten about this for the longest time until I watch it every year.
This sequence, honestly, for me, and I was just like my dadness or whatever, but this scene, even long before I was a dad, this scene bothered me the most because they don't show anything, but the reactions you get and knowing what they find. There's something about the way, because it's at night and like this idea of this group of people, it looks so cold. It looks bitterly cold. And there's just something about this mother, off the side, completely impotent, can't do anything. And just the way John Saxon's trying to keep everybody calm and he's, in charge. But then the reaction when they find what they find, but you never see it. And that makes it so much worse, right? Because you can only imagine what he did to this little girl.
Again, upon the release and first time that somebody would have seen this, they start putting the pieces together that, okay, the guy that's sneaking around this house is probably the guy that's responsible for this missing child. And I love that. I mean, to your point, Joel, you get little bits and pieces of weird shit that he says on the phone, but you really don't know what the backstory is, why he's nuts, who he is, where he came from.
Yeah.
I mean, I think this does a better job at that killer ambiguity more so than Michael Myers and Halloween does.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely agree.
That first scene.
There's Mrs. Mack throwing down another bottle of Canadian Club.
That scene with Saxon, leading the crew and everything.
Yes.
That was the first scene he shot for the movie.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and he wasn't the original choice. It was going to be Edward O'Brien from DOA.
Oh, I think
I remember hearing that. Yeah,
but he was ill, so he couldn't do it.
Well, no offense to Mr. O'Brien. I'm glad we got Saxon.
Well, Rick, if I remember the story right, wasn't it like a 24-hour turnaround where he got a phone call in LA or whatever and said, "Hey, can you fly to
there?" And then
Vancouver, wherever the hell this was filmed?
Because he was a pro.
It's like
that's why he was a pro, and that's what a pro does.
John Saxon.
My wife and I were watching Prisoners of the Lost Universe. Do you remember that with Richard?
I know the title. I've never seen it, but I know the title.
It's free on Amazon. The movie is horrible, but he's just amazing. You
that's
can tell
what always struck me about him. Yeah, when you would watch a movie that he's in, and I'm sure a lot of people have maybe even just caught like moments, fleeting glimpses of some of the movies he's in. Obviously, he's been in things that we all know and love, but there's just these random movies that would show up, like the kind of movie that would show up on a Saturday at 2:00 in the afternoon on like the Sci-Fi Channel, or or there's one called Comet TV that we get via satellite. I haven't watched it in a while, but they just show old sci-fi movies like was it Gore, G-O-R, like ones like that. And just these really cheesy movies. But every time he's in one of those and you get to his scene, it's like it just transcends. No matter how amateurish. Yeah. Oh, now Ms. Mack about to buy the farm here. This scene freaks me out too.
In a bitchin' way, right? Yeah.
I mean, but it's because she's a funny character. She's goofy, but it's the way he's high, like when you that reveal of his shaking hands, like he's like excited. He's got that hook, and then she's looking around. And I don't know, everyone here, I'm sure, has done this, where you've had to stick your head up in an attic. That's terrifying.
Well, and I was going to bring that up. Have you guys ever been to a house with an attic like this that had like the fireman's ladder attached to no shit, like wasn't a pull down, or with like a door and a Beetlejuice staircase, like an actual
a
ladder fastened to the wall.
Okay. Well, it was an attic like this, in that it was this size, or similar like size and layout. My earliest memories, one of them, I'm like 4 years old. My grandmother's house, among them, my mother and her brother were born in. There goes Mrs. Mack. Thunk. And again, you don't see it. That's the thing about it.
Yeah, just the feet going up.
You hear screams.
Dude, it's very Texas Chainsaw, because every single time, like I keep thinking that I'm going to see the hook coming through her mouth or something.
Yeah, they cut to that shot of if I can, is that Mel from Alice, right? Isn't that Mel? Is that him? Or
Payback? No.
It looks like him.
To say back here, is it?
No, maybe not. It looked like him. It looks like Mel.
No, but the attics like that, I've been in those before, actually. In my previous life as an HVAC.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, what am I saying? You definitely.
The big finish. I just meant the ladder, like attached to the.
Yeah,
wall.
that's what I mean. Yeah,
really,
like that. Yeah, which makes it a pain in the butt getting your stuff up. And it's so sad though that I only understand why why the hook is up there now. It's to bring big boxes up inside the attic.
Oh,
yeah, makes sense.
Yeah, which if we had that when I was doing HVAC, that would have saved me some time.
I bet it would have. And this part where where Billy, as we call him, is just pitching a fit.
Flips out. Yeah.
By the way, is your version, and I haven't watched my Blu-ray or 4K version in a very long time. I know it's an older film and it's grainier and all that, but does yours guys look kind of not compressed, but maybe a little compressed? Like it's not a very clean print that Amazon is offering up from what I could tell. Or maybe I'm noticing a lot of like kind of compression noise and you know what I'm talking about? Like especially the dark areas, like where I don't know if you
for the record, I haven't seen a high quality
so do you
this
is
DVD
pristine.
or Blu-ray version of this. So
I just remember
but you know what?
My Blu-ray was cleaner.
I think even
I feel like Rick might have brought this up earlier. I feel like there's certain movies though that are meant to be seen like this.
It doesn't bother
I always
me.
bring up the original Texas Chainsaw. Yep. The only version of Texas Chainsaw Massacre I own is on VHS. It's the only way I'll watch it.
And now, thanks to
I feel like Black Christmas is kind of like that too.
Tyson, thanks to Brainbuster Video,
I feel like Christmas stories like that. I don't want to watch Christmas Story.
It has a very similar look to this. Yeah, it does. It has a similar feel.
Of course. Anyway, sorry, you were mentioning Brainbuster?
No, I was going to say, Brainbuster, thanks to them, because they put out a Texas Chainsaw Massacre. So now I, too, have that on VHS.
Right on.
Yeah. Yeah, so, then Claire's father. So this father who's desperately searching for his daughter sees whatever... And then that transition.
And you don't see yes.
Yeah, the mother goes to scream and the phone rings over the sound. It's oh my God, that's so smart. That's so good.
I have seen Black Christmas probably 20 times.
Yeah.
And I guess it's just the environment and sitting here with you guys, but I guess I never noticed how much they play on that trope of like, you don't see anything.
Nothing.
But you know what I mean? In my mind, it's like, oh yeah, man, Black Christmas is bloody as hell.
Yeah.
Yeah, now it's like a Chainsaw Massacre, same thing. You keep thinking you see more than you actually do.
Yeah. Which what makes it so brilliant. And I'm all for effects and gore. I mean, no doubt about that.
It seems like we're watching right now another phone call at 44 minutes and 45 seconds.
Yes.
This, I think, is what makes you feel like this is such an intense
and it's just one
gruesome,
shot,
batshit crazy,
a slow push in to this extreme close up of Jess and like her eyes and her brow. Just it was so intimate, and we're like right in, and we cut up to the top of the stairs. Oh my God, it's just the way this is just it's so great, man. It's such a great.
That's what I mean. He was so underrated that way. People don't go back and look at it and see how much he had done there.
It's so good. It almost gives you chills. Like it's just because it's like, I'm sure a lot of it was discovered along the way, but there's something just seems so wonderfully intentional that, and then the fact that Billy calls, that's the first time, if memory serves, where he's like truly upset in a sad way. Like he's crying, and it's right after they found the body of the girl. And then we get the shadow. Now by the way, Suspense 101, according to Mr. Hitchcock, we know the bomb's under the table, right? But they don't.
Exactly.
So we know the killer's upstairs, and we see footsteps coming down behind Jess after all this has happened. POV, oh my God, what's going on? She's about to die. You got to imagine in the theater when people saw this for the first time.
Oh, in 1974? Oh, absolutely.
You had to be crapping your pants, man. What a great!
This would have probably been the time where people left. They would probably be like, "I can't watch this." I'm going.
Okay, yeah, but that was a jump scare. Him throwing his jacket down would have been a jump scare because it was the build up, the tension, boom. But that's how you do a good jump scare, right? It's not the music swells and then wait, just kidding, we're not doing it. And now we do it. God, I hate that. So my kids is a running.
By the way,
joke.
I can smell the carpet and like the furniture polish on the railing in this house. Like I can smell this.
Yes.
I could Mrs. Mackey's Canadian Club whiskey
mixed in with mixed in with Peter's Old Spice or Aqua Velva.
Yes.
We need a scratch and sniff card.
Fucking anger issues.
Yeah, we did a scratch and sniff. Yeah.
I've always tried to figure out what's on the poster behind her. There's several scenes where they're on the phone down there in the foyer, and I can't make out if I think it's like a college sorority type, like handmade poster or something, but it almost looked like a weird, like a leftover Halloween type thing. I've never been able to figure out what it is.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I have to go back and look at it.
I do that. See, that's the thing too. After I see something 100 times, I go back and I try to point out weird little
Yeah.
Find weird little shit.
Of course. I mean, because it comes to a point where you've seen the movie so many times. I'm not saying you can't engage with the story. I still can, but by and large, especially in a situation like this, Halloween Babies podcast, Billy says Billy is the name of horror. Yes, it is, Billy. It is the name of horror.
Sure.
Or Agnes, I guess.
A lot of fur in this shot.
Yep. Let's see here. Back on Instagram, I'm sorry, I'm trying to do my best to go back and forth between the two. K7TM20. Let's see, sup peeps, and he says, or I'm not sure. I think I'm trying to think who's K7T. I feel like I know who that is. I apologize. I'm not remembering who exactly you are. But is this not the most Giallo-esque slasher, as I call it? Yeah, I definitely think it has a lot of Giallo-like vibes to it for sure. Then they said, do you think Billy killed the girl in the park before he went in the house at the beginning? Oh, yes. I don't know. We had to play the timeline because the girl was missing. How long was the girl missing? I can't remember what they said. How long did they say the little girl had been missing at that point? Was it just that day?
No, would have had to. I mean, if you go by the standard, you can't report a missing person until they've been, for at least 48 hours or whatever. You got.
Yeah, I have to go back and listen to see how if it fits the time.
I think with a child, though, right?
Yeah, but I think a little girl especially. But honestly, even if that isn't the case, back with what the suggestion that Rick made early on when we started this, that what if, because they make the point that the moaner is calling again. So he may be going in and out of this house for God knows how long, and now he's just culminating with him. Finally, he's built up his desire to kill.
Well, in a weird kind of way, we bringing up Ted Bundy.
Yeah,
that's what it was like with him. Yeah. He needed it, and once he started unleashing it, he took it out on every girl in that house that night.
Yep.
We briefly touched on the 2006 remake too, but I gotta say, I actually like what they did with the backstory. I mean, a lot of that, we've talked about other remakes and how, you don't need to give this killer backstory, but I think they went full tilt boogie. Like, if you remember the remake about explaining why Billy was the way he was, I mean, it took it to an 11. Spinal Tap.
Funny, and that's my big knock on the movie, which again I take it for what it is. But my big knock on the 2006 remake is that aspect, because to me it's so much more chilling to not.
I liked it though.
I didn't dislike it. I'm just saying I just like better.
I get what you're saying. It makes it creepy when you don't know. But if you're gonna give it a backstory, like
people cookies,
take it to 11.
I think Black Christmas remakes, they all need to just be made under a different title so they can stand on their own.
Although at least the 2006 tried to somehow connect it.
See, you and I talked about that. I still don't hate the other one. It wasn't totally crazy,
with the 2019 one
kind of a thing. Yeah, I didn't think ultimately. I don't think it's that bad of a movie. It's very flawed.
Rick, I really hope you're screwing with me right now, Rick.
I think it's a masterpiece. I don't know why you.
Oh, okay, there it is. All right,
there you go.
It's almost like you figured out how to push my buttons, Rick.
Well, you push mine when you like Skinamarink, so we're even.
Oh, okay, fair enough. Yeah. So Gamma, my good friend Gamma. Wow, I caught this live. Denver has pretty good 5G at the Amtrak station. Yes.
See, there he is. See his laughter. He doesn't look like he's acting. He looks like he's just genuinely.
Well, that is great acting, though, right? It should be genuine. It should come across as genuine. It doesn't usually, but it should.
John, he's great here. It's just.
And his reaction too. Yeah, his reaction was what was so great too. And Nash, come here. And then the back and forth. Yeah. And you know what? And my guess is I could be wrong. Oh, Chris, Chris is here. Chris Autumn. Hey, everyone. Hey, Chris.
What's up, Chris? This is Chris's favorite holiday horror, if I'm not mistaken.
That's because Chris is a good person, number one. And also back on Instagram, K7TM20 says, do we think it was that night? I guess you're asking if for the little girl dying. I don't know. Yeah, I don't. Yeah, because I mean, we've definitely got a couple days now for the timeline.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. Billy's been in the house for at least 24 to 36 hours at this point.
Yeah. This back and forth. Yeah, that right
there. What's her name? Claire's dad has showed up, and
yes, all that's happened. Yeah, it's definitely the next day at least. Yeah, this back and forth. See, I feel like
52 minutes and 8 seconds, gang. 52 minutes and 10 seconds now. If you're watching along with us.
Yeah, I feel like this back and forth here was the director's trick of you have them come up with something, or you tell there has to be like something like the sincere.
I feel like here's the thing though.
Yeah.
Joe Bob covered this on the last drive-in.
Yeah.
And I feel like I remember Joe Bob mentioning that the actor that plays Nash, I think he said something that to the effect that the guy really didn't know what fellatio meant.
Oh, so they've used that.
Wow. There's a good chance doesn't that feel like that's a natural
like guys busting
fuck
it,
balls, just roll,
yep.
go, just film this shit. Like, you know what I mean? Like
the best directors, best directors cast great actors and then get the hell out of their way. Like to tell them what they want, what they need them to do, and then just get the hell out of the way. They don't overdo it. So yeah.
Once again, to Rick's point, I feel like the theme of tonight is how underrated Bob Clark was.
Yes, I agree with you. 100%.
I'm going to be this guy, and I love John Carpenter, but I think I can firmly say at this point in my life, I think this is a better directed movie. You know, the compositions, things of that nature.
I hope Greg Mortis is not watching.
Oh no, Greg's doing his thing. Greg and Pearl they're doing their live thing, but they're doing another network. But Carpenter, he always wanted to play with the 2:35 aspect ratio like a painting.
Yes.
Bob Clark, he's just in it. He just gets in on tight everyone. On every actor, they have their moment, and that's where he's brilliant in this. And it's
never, and to your point, Rick, the blocking in this, if you really pay attention, if we want to get really down in the weeds, just everything is always clear. Like he sets up the geography of this house early on. We know where everything is, where everybody's going. We know. Like this, like we don't get, and not that Halloween has this either, because of the time they didn't do this excessively. It's definitely a problem nowadays where things are so confusing because they feel like they make this assumption that everybody is like me and riddled with ADD, so they can't pay attention for 2 seconds. So they've got to it's like, no, sometimes you can just let a scene breathe and just let the camera track and wait for it. You can even leave the camera locked down and let your actors move in and out of the frame and cross and do all kinds of stuff. This movie has that in spades. Whereas with Halloween, to your point, I feel like, I don't want to say it's necessarily self-conscious, but there is more of, I guess, a self-consciousness to the camera work that isn't in this one. That this one, it's very like just telling the story visually, and it does it brilliantly.
Yes, absolutely.
No, this is the point where we all get quiet. We're entranced by Mr. Saxon in his performance.
Right?
Yeah.
All right, I'll say it now. John Saxon. My father wasn't in the picture much, so I had cinematic fathers. John Saxon was one of those. It's like, that's what I want as a father.
Yeah, you and my wife, Rick. That's exactly what she said.
You know what it is? He's like he's like a very good, strong male role model. Like in everything. I don't know if he was in real life or not. I'm just saying he comes across that way. Like if that was your dad, you would feel safe. You feel like you would also, he's the kind of dad you really would feel like he probably would never really yell at you too much. He would just give you a look and you would never want to let him down. You know what I mean?
Exactly. You'd disappoint him.
Yes.
And he would just be a fucking wreck for weeks afterward.
Two of the most hilarious fathers to let down would be Saxon or Christopher Walken would be.
Oh,
very fast. Why?
Yeah. It's just very true. Yeah, and at that moment right there, where they all smile each other knowingly about the whole thing with Margot Kidder with the fellatio thing. But that little, but you know what I'm saying, it was very subtle. Like she gives her that like knowing, like I know what she did, and it was subtle. And I love too, what I love about this movie so much is this old tech of how they would have had to trace the call. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's so great.
I was just thinking about an entire industry of people that no longer, the job doesn't exist.
Won't get it. Yeah, they just don't.
Yeah, but you know what's funny?
Technician, the operator that calls operator. I can't hear what she's saying. As far as I know, we don't have operators anymore, right?
I don't know. Maybe it's all AI now. I have no idea what we have. Yeah, it's a good point. I haven't called zero in a very long time. I don't know.
Technology has been the biggest enemy to horror films. That's all there's.
Well, yeah, but here's the key. You could still set a horror.
No, it doesn't.
Period.
Think about how the suspense and well, you could, but we could make the kids these days won't get it. They really won't.
Okay, well, hold on, wait. But let me. I'm gonna contradict your argument. Let me say this. So you telling me the only way anybody could have really truly appreciated or gotten into like a gothic horror film is to have been lived and or been around in 1842. No,
no. But I would make the argument that had somebody that was alive in the 1880s watched a gothic horror film from the 30s or 40s, they probably would have appreciated it more than
on a different level. Yeah, but I'm saying,
and that's all I'm saying is, I mean, we understand analog technology. We understand the idea of, God, I remember growing up, one of the scariest things was being in this big house, and I think I had something with my sister, but being on the phone and hearing somebody else. Like you felt like somebody else was on the phone upstairs. You know what I mean? That's a weird, creepy, horrific feeling that, anybody born in the last 20, they have no concept of that with cell phones of somebody listening in and all the weird shit that this movie's a perfect example. All the weird shit you could do with analog phones, you know what I mean? There's just
I think correct me if I'm wrong, just correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like what you would have to do, because look, like The Conjuring takes place in the early 70s, right? Isn't that what
you can make it scary. I just think that it's somebody that's experienced that remembers it.
It's a different vibe.
It's relatable. Yeah.
You have to, without
you don't have to create it for them.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You don't have to paint that picture for them.
We've got Pop and Mom says they're enjoying.
Wait, is that really about? Are they trying to be?
Somebody left a comment that says Pop and Mom enjoying. So I guess they're making sure we're at work doing what we're supposed to be doing.
Exactly. It's probably Mom and Pop. They think they're being clever. They're in their RV and wherever the hell.
That's hilarious. No, what I was going to say is, like, I think the key is for the more modern audience, you would have to convey without it being this heavy-handed exposition how the stuff works. But then again, to be fair, they even had to do it for this, right? Because a layman, unless you were like a lineman or something, didn't know how phone tapping or any of that worked. So they still had to explain it. Well, if you explained it this way, you could still have that kind of tech. And does that make sense? What I'm saying?
And I'm trying to think like back, we've said this several times throughout this though, but I feel like this was there were so many firsts in this movie. You know what I mean? Like I'm trying to think of I'm thinking about like French Connection and what's the what's the movie with Gene Hackman where he's like the sound guy?
Conversation. Yeah.
Not French Connection. Yeah. I feel like, like phone tapping and all that, like fucking Watergate and all that shit was right around this time. You know what I mean? So, again, when I watched this was nothing new, by the 80s and 90s. I mean, phone tapping and all this shit. Oh, we didn't keep him on the phone. We didn't, you got to keep him on the line longer. We couldn't trace it. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like all that shit was, everybody knew how that worked. I feel like in 1974, though, this was like, to your point,
that guy's struggling right now. He's like, this camera weighs 300 pounds.
Oh, he's trying. Yeah. Coming down the ladder. And by the way, talk about beautifully shot. This sequence where the wonderful
the lighting, I think, is brilliant.
Oh yeah, that, and then but the crystal when he goes into Barb's room and just this is probably the most brutal scene of any scene in the movie.
Or I'm sorry, 1 hour and 1 minute and 5 seconds, folks.
And by the way, what I love about this too is it turns out she has asthma, something we didn't know about her at all.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like adds a level of vulnerability to her, right? But we know the killer
on a level of sorority sister, I got your back type thing. The fact that, believe it, Jess, sorry,
Olivia
comes running in. You know what I mean? With the you know what I mean? It comes rushing in. You know what I mean? It creates that
bond.
That closeness.
Yeah,
I wonder how much of her character. I wonder how much of that was, if it's a coincidence that it kind of echoed her life later with alcohol and drugs.
Oh,
Margot Kidder.
Yeah.
And I believe the stories I've heard, she liked to party. That's what, especially in that era. Yeah. And then you hear the carolers.
Oh, I love it. It's so good.
That's what this movie does so well is it layers in the Christmassy stuff to give you that warm feeling, but then juxtapose against especially with what's about to happen to her. Yeah. And then,
we talked about that with Die Hard too, though. I mean, Die Hard's not a horror movie; it is definitely a Christmas movie. And
Daryl,
right. Anybody that disagrees can kiss my ass.
Oh, you know, that's what it was. I think that's where the debate came. Okay, not that he hated it, just that it wasn't a Christmas movie.
I think he likes it, but
you know what I mean?
It makes me mad by saying
how they worked that. No, this movie doesn't necessarily do it, other than a little bit, like I said, with and they're not stingers, just the suspenseful cues when you see a Billy Shadow or something has that Christmas choir feel. But you know, it's the same like with the Die Hard theme. You know how they work in, you know. Joy to the world.
Yeah, Ode to Joy. Yeah. Yes, no, that's exactly it. And that's, by the way, why the new movie Silent Night, the John Woo movie. Have you seen it yet, Rick?
No, I want to.
Okay. I didn't hate it by any means. I didn't love it though, and I really wanted to love it. And I'll be honest with you, that was one of my biggest gripes. Is a lot of people. Somebody said they thought it was more Christmassy than Die Hard, but there's like
one Christmas tree.
Yeah, it's like it was like the music and everything was just it didn't do that. And I like it better when that's why weirdly like Lethal Weapon I always forget is a Christmas time movie because they don't do that as much. I mean, there's a little bit of like a bell sound in the score.
But when I lived in Southern California, that's what Christmas in California felt like. Feels like. Yeah. And that's what I love here. You know, going back to Tyson's comments about just the production design and everything, it feels like winter, and it obviously was. You know, there's snow, but it feels like Christmas. It really feels.
It feels like Christmas.
Just like Christmas Story.
I mean, that's this shot right here with the wreath and the red lights.
Yes.
Yeah. Just a little, and it's not like throwing in your face, like, "Hey, here's a bunch of Christmas decorations." Weirdly, the lighting, it just feels like.
Oh, I love this part so much.
It feels like a sorority. You know what I mean? They took a day and put up some lights and some decorations.
It's not like when you watch
feels
Silent
like
Night, Billy Night, and you're like, you guys shot this like in the
the skull. Did you guys see the skull in the background when he raised the?
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, and then that eye, that one eye.
Oh yeah,
that's the most clear shot we get of him.
I think it is. By the way, is caroling still a thing?
I don't know.
I never went caroling as a kid.
I went caroling.
I've never been caroling in my life.
Once as a kid, I went with a group with my mom. I don't even remember what the context was. I was probably like 10 or 11, maybe. And
in Florida, though.
Yeah, isn't that weird?
Look at that.
Like I think it's fucking weird, but I really think it's fucking weird in Florida.
Yeah, it'd be weird. Yeah,
if it's not 10 degrees out.
Yeah,
like. In this scene, then I don't get it. I don't understand it.
Yeah,
I love how he did that shot of the three kids singing. Though it's like boom, boom, boom. That was wild.
And then we see that close up of the crystal swans or whatever they were, and her hand, bloody hand, just the way it hits it. And then we go right to this parent running up to say.
It's pretty good blood in this too, FX wise. This doesn't have the.
That was it. That's the blood.
This doesn't have giallo blood.
I think later on we do see Barb's corpse basically, but it's in like from the hallway and it's far away. But like that's the only blood in the whole movie. Yeah.
Clark had no problem with the zoom lens either, and it always just felt right.
I love it though.
A lot of Italian horror films where it's like, don't zoom, you don't need to.
Yeah,
here he always used it at a perfect time.
Yeah, it makes sense when the way it's used. It's not. It doesn't. Again, it's not self-conscious. It doesn't have that. I love this. I tried to recreate this a little bit. You remember Tyson and the whole time sleeping?
Yeah,
when he's walking past the bookcases,
the library.
It's not, and it's a feature that I made years ago. It's not nearly as cool as this, but I tried. I was in a wheelchair holding a giant Ikegami DVC Pro camera. I love it. What I want to know is, I love this, and it's also the sound. It's the the mechanical.
It sounds like having a damn MRI machine.
Yes.
Yes. You know what I mean?
And the fact that she in that voice, Billy says, having a wart removed, which is what Peter had said to Jess earlier in regards to the whole abortion thing.
See, and that adds so much more to the concept of this killer. It's like you were saying, it's like he's mimicking voice patterns and everything else. And if he had been able to do a second movie, which let's talk about that briefly.
Yeah.
went on this rant with my wife earlier today, but I'm gonna do it again now.
Do it.
Okay. You both know that John Carpenter and Bob Clark knew each other on a semi-professional level.
Yes.
Right? Okay. They were both working at a studio doing basically spec scripts, the only thing they could get hired for at the time. Now, Carpenter had seen Black Christmas, and while they're hanging out and having a meal one day, he starts talking about what would you have done if you had done another, Black Christmas follow-up. And Clark goes ahead and exposes that the idea that he came up with is that Billy has been incarcerated in an insane asylum, kind of like the remake ultimately. And he escapes to go back to the sorority house and continue his slaughter. What holiday did he say he was going to do? Halloween. And I just find that so remarkable. It's that thing of, if you want to call it the universe of Kismet or whatever, just the fact that what would have John Carpenter's Babysitter Murders have become if he had never met Bob Clark, and Bob Clark would never, and Bob Clark's a stand-up guy though, because people have asked him about it, and there's an interview with him.
Yeah,
where he says, hey, I'm not going to take from what Carpenter did. He did an amazing job, but we did have that conversation. And it's just amazing to me. Like, Clark was so underrated and underappreciated as a filmmaker.
Yeah.
If he had been able to do another one, I really think his career would have just went into different directions.
Yeah, that's a good point. Real quick. So Gamma says maybe movies with old tech need disclaimers at the start, like some channels do with problematic content. They can also add subtitles for any notes written in cursive so Gen Z can read them. Hey, Gamma, just so you know, if you're watching this still, we have actually taught my children to write in cursive, believe it or not. I'm not saying they do it well, but they do it.
You have to start downloading like
for everything,
an accompanying PDF with these movies.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Not just writing; it could be technology. It's like the following objects may be confusing to you.
RJ says
be in rectangle booths.
He said there is some great architectural lighting happening here for sure. Of course, to be fair, he said that about 7 minutes ago. So I'm not 100% sure what. I mean, obviously, he may have been just in general.
Probably
yes, I agree with you.
Probably.
Yeah. Yeah, yes, I agree. And Gamma said, ditto for analog clocks. Good point. Very good point. Yeah. And I love Phil. I love Andrea Martin. She's like, it's okay, honey. It's okay. Oh, and I do think we get a little blood with the reveal of what happened to the cop, which, by the way, there's another trope. How many times have we seen that since? The cop that's left out front, turns out he's no longer with us.
We're fine.
Yeah. Look, he's right there. But see, that's new here. I also love the Christmas tree. I'm assuming that's a Christmas tree that's behind Jess. And it's like almost like wisps, like it almost looks like a white wispy hair. And the way he's crying when Peter calls, it sounds reminiscent of the of Billy. Which, by the way, so track back real quick. Is it possible then? So Billy took on that issue of having a wart removed, right?
Mm-hmm.
What if, because he's always like, I guess it's called frogging, which that's a whole thing we could get into. Actually, on Land of the Creeps, they just dropped their 350th episode on frogging with Karen Wagner and Brian Scott. We're both on it. It's great. But that idea of somebody who lives in the house and you don't know they're there. This movie is like one of the ultimate frogging movies. This is one of my favorite subgenres, along with Highway Terror. And but what if Billy, or what the guy we're calling Billy, what if that whole story tells about Agnes and the baby? What if that was just other things that were happening in houses that he was doing this in? Do you get what I'm saying? Like other times he's been hiding out, and maybe the attic of this house, other people lived there, and he was hearing their traumatic family events, and that he just repeats that. Like, so if he survives this, he would go on to mention the wart, like having a wart removed to some future victim. Do you know what I'm saying? So you would assume it was him and something happened to him, but maybe it's not. Maybe this is all just crap. He just takes, I'm knocking things over. He knocks, that he's taken on from other people's stories. Just a theory. It's probably
and that's actually really good though. And I kind of wish they kind of took that path with any of the remakes. Because those are little great things you can fill in, and it's not like fan service, like, ooh, this is how this happened. But it would really, incorporate a lot of what he may have already been trying to show us in this one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
This is something too. I think we've talked about in other movies, Joel, that we've covered. But for 1974, abortion is pretty heavy.
Yes. Thank you for bringing that up. Yeah. It only had been, I think, when was Roe versus Wade originally? Like 72?
That's what I was trying to figure out.
I think it was 72. I think.
Yeah, it was still very new in the public consciousness.
And this is Canada. And I know there are obviously laws. I don't know where it was in relation to, I think it was legal at this point there too, but I just don't know like to what the degree. But the point is, it was still obviously still is in a lot of circles, very controversial topic. So it is interesting to note that this movie addresses it without beating you over the head with it. All right.
You mean you can actually make a point without what?
What? Yes, it's weird. Like it turns out that rather than just messaging, maybe you have themes and ideas and you posit questions and let the audience you let the audience make their own conclusions. What a crazy idea.
Going back to the filmmaking again, look how much coverage in this one scene.
Yeah.
How many directors nowadays would shoot it with just the one angle and leave it at that? We've had different camera angles for each line of dialogue at this point.
Yeah. Or literally say, Ellie, we pushed in. So when we've cut back to somebody that's a little,
and that's how I've always been as a director. I want to see these people. I don't want to see some huge wide shot.
Yeah.
It's like, I love Reservoir Dogs, but you know what? How great would it have been to be really tight on Harvey Keitel instead of just a big wide shot?
Well, and it depends too, because I think there's certain moments where having that, like when they're like when he and Mr. Pink are sort of like really going at each other. Maybe you have that, but then when you need that reaction, and there's some moments where he does that. But yeah, I if I'm being honest though, I'd rather have certain wide shots and like be able to clearly know where the hell everybody is and what is happening.
I agree, and that's what he does so well here. He gives you both.
Yeah,
you understand the geography of the place, like. I feel that I could actually describe the sorority house.
Yes, or draw a map. Like you could actually
the Wallace house in Halloween. I'm like, okay, well, there's the staircase. I don't know. I'm not sure where the staircase is.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, it's a good point. I feel like we have a better sense of Lindsay's house in Halloween than we do.
True.
Tommy's.
I love these guys. This is like the comic relief.
This is another like very real moment, a real moment. Because watch Andrea Martin's reaction, but how they kind of giggle.
These guys might be the most Canadian characters.
Oh yeah,
in the history of film.
Just this side of Strange Brew. Yes,
right. That's exactly what I was thinking. This is Rick Moranis, straight up.
Right.
All I know is, man, watch out with your shotgun.
Yeah, I know the way. Yeah, right. I feel like if he just
muzzle awareness, be nice.
Really, buddy.
It's like, look here.
Yeah,
you need to be careful.
Don't worry about it. We'll be out here patrolling.
Although he's wearing a hat very similar to yours, isn't he, Tyson? The guy on the right.
No.
Yeah, he is.
Not at all.
Yeah. What's that called? A toque? What's that thing called? What's that thing called?
In Canada, they do call it a toque.
A toque, yeah.
That hat looks like it's from another time, actually. The checkered one. It looked like it was from like 1985.
It looks like something Mrs. Mack would wear.
That's true.
Exactly.
Yeah.
See, look at that angle. Look at that.
Yeah. And I like that you got that background out of focus. And we're just focused on his contemplative.
Again, the darkest police station I've ever seen.
Yes. Yeah. And
did
you notice that transition? Did you notice that real quick? Do you notice that transition? As he got up and moved across the frame, she moved the curtain and they perfectly went in sync together.
Yeah,
that's so great. That's
nice.
I want to look at this.
Oh yeah. That zoom. There was a zoom again, right?
Christmas light. Or is that a candle? I can't remember if it's candle or Christmas lights up in the attic, but it's
I think Christmas lights. There might be some candles too. I don't remember. What were you gonna say, Rick? I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Oh no, going back to that must have been crackerjack timing there. It's like, okay, now open.
Yeah.
But no, what I was going to say is when we were talking about Clark bringing in abortion into the storyline and everything, he was always sort of either ahead of the curve or he was very willing to talk about things other people didn't want to, because Death Dream deals heavily with the Vietnam soldiers who came back and had so much persecution and so much stress disorders and everything else. You didn't see movies about that topic being made. Yeah. And he was able to mask it. He and his screenwriter were able to mask it in the guise of this horror film.
Yep. Yeah, and it's really well done. And it's basically a monkey's paw type of story. And it's just I love that movie so much. It's super creepy. It's like that one and this one to me. He wins the award to me for like creepiest movie direction. I mean,
yeah, that's what I was saying. Some movies are scary and some are disturbing, and he definitely is able to hit that.
Yeah.
Even the films that he was just marginally involved with, like Deranged, you feel him
I was
movie, even
ready
though
for
he's not the director.
I completely forgot he was involved with that. And I just mentioned that movie today because we were watching Home Alone with the kids. We're doing like our annual go through all the Christmas movies, and we're watching some of Home Alone. And Robert's Blossom came on. I was like, yeah, he was in a movie where he played an Ed Gein type character, and Tom Savini was I think it was like one of his first, right? It was one of his first.
Yeah,
effects jobs. So yeah.
And I want to say the gentleman who plays the reporter in Deranged is the telephone tech, I think.
Oh, really? You know, funny.
These phone calls are
they're
awful.
Horrifying. They're horrifying. I'm gonna say, I'm a grown ass man. Elevating. I can tell you right now, I would be terrified. I would absolutely be crapping my pants if I was by myself in a house. I was getting these calls. Let's see.
Again, this goes back to early, like with crank callers like this. You know what I mean? And now every cell phone, you see where they're coming. Oh, you can block it. You can spam. You know what I mean? It's like technology has, it really has taken away a lot of.
It has. That's why I'm of the opinion. You either said it. You either. Oh, your dog's going to. There's somebody in the house, Tyson.
Billy's in the attic.
He's in the attic. That's why I personally, from like my own like sense of storytelling, would prefer to either set a story in sort of like a truly fictitious alternate sort of world or different time. Like I'm with Tarantino that way. I don't want effing cell phone, like smartphones. I don't want any of that crap.
Well, we've seen we've seen cell phone horror. We've seen chat room horror. You know what I mean? And we've seen plenty of horror. It's evolved with the tech, but maybe it's just because we're old farts. But
whatever. I'm an old fart. I'm embracing the old fart.
This stuff. Yeah.
But it's
most of what I write now, I usually end up setting it in a different period just because you know what, I don't want to have to deal with trying to explain all this stuff. I'm just gonna...
Well, and that's the point, right? You can, and that's the thing is, obviously, yes, I know it sounds weird to say that writing a story that takes place in the early 90s is a period piece, but it's a friggin' period piece now. You know, in the early 1990s, if you're writing something 30 years earlier, as the early 60s, that was a period piece. So it stands to reason. 1993, 30 years ago. So it's crazy to think, but my point is, I just think from a storytelling perspective, I'd much rather set something then and not have to deal with all the crap. Now, granted, you have the extra element of depending on where you set it. Although I feel like the early 90s weirdly would be easier to fudge than say the early 80s from a design, production design perspective.
Budget-wise. It'll be passable.
Even especially like early 2000s, you could easily, I think, get away with almost everything. Now, just take away the phones, you'd be pretty fine. By the way, RJ,
got a little gore.
Yeah, we got our little gore. We got the dead cop, right? RJ earlier wrote a letter, Kenny. I think that was in regards to our Canadian talk.
Oh, right.
And he said toque.
Seeing the officer being dead outside, very, ultimately what we see in Friday the 13th movies, Halloween movies.
It's true.
Yeah.
It's shady, supernatural. Like, how did he get from there to there so quickly?
Yep. 100%.
So, folks, if you're still with us, we're at an hour, 20 minutes, and 54 seconds into Black Christmas.
This is where this sequence to me is. I put up the opening 10 minutes of Scream. This sequence, maybe those two are like my favorites of just like building suspense and the way they play out and what they culminate to are so great. I love this part. Wait, I kind of go ahead. What does it?
Well, I was gonna say this is another example. Like the first time I saw this, I'm like, oh, it's the classic. The killer's he's calling from the house type, But I don't know that it now. No. Sure, it was an urban legend, but I don't know that it had been done.
No, I don't. To my knowledge, no. Maybe there's somebody out there could say, yeah, there was a never seldom viewed, forgotten movie. But other than that, this is the only one that I could earliest version of this I could think of.
Mm-hmm.
Why? That feeling of frustration.
Response.
I know.
He's like, I fucked up again.
He told me not to tell her, but I've got to tell her. But he has to tell her. If he hadn't told her that at least now she was going to go up either way. If he said, "Oh no, don't be fine," she's like, "No, I'm going to go get him." She'd put the phone down and gone, and she would have been prepared. Now at least she knows something might be up there. So weirdly, Nash, in my opinion, saved her life, because I would argue if Jess goes up there completely unawares, he catches her. But now she's terrified. She's going for the door, but she doesn't want to leave her friends, which makes sense.
I'm glad you said she's terrified, because I was just going to point out that how great she is now that she knows what's going on. I feel like if you watch her, she didn't have to say or do anything. Just the look on her face is pure terror.
Yeah. And by the way, hey, Rick, is it me, or was that moment of the shots of the stair right there, the stairs, the hall, Halloween, right?
Yeah, very much so.
And I know that Tommy Lee Wallace apparently did that as like a thing for the end credits. It wasn't, it was like a last, but I just think it's funny.
You can't deny how similar
very
it is,
similar.
It's just
very similar.
Steve Martin did a movie with Olivia Hussey, and all I wanted to talk to her about was this movie. He was that much of a fan of Black Christmas.
Really? Oh, cool.
And Joe, the one thing we haven't brought up yet is the fan film.
Oh,
right.
Dave McRae. Yes. Right? Yeah, it's Me Billy, which the first one, if you haven't seen it, have you seen it, Rick?
No, you keep talking about it. And I still
you need to see it. It's on YouTube. It's fantastic. No pun intended.
He was, and rumor is there's supposed to be a second.
Oh, no, not rumor. I've backed it. Yeah.
Wasn't it? Is it confirmed? Wasn't he trying to get Olivia Hussey involved?
Here's the thing. Where I understand it, I watched his video on this. I feel horrible for the guy. They did get her. And that was one of the selling points of like, oh my God, we're going to have her be in the sequel. And it makes sense. You see the first film, it makes sense why she would be in the second one that he made. But she apparently, the way I understood it, and again, taking this completely from what he said on his video, something is going on with her health and she had to pull out. So I don't know what the deal is. I don't know what the deals are. You could tell the guy was just crestfallen because, my God, can you imagine you're getting to do a sequel to your movie that was really well received by fans of this movie because it's actually respectful and is made by people. See, that's the goriest scene right there. That's the goriest
how reminiscent
scene.
Of that is
the
Judith Myers tombstone shot,
Linda and the tomb shot. Yeah.
It's so great.
This is the greatest shot in history. I love that shot so much. I tried to replicate that in multiple short films when I was younger. the eyeball. And then there's how he goes crazy. He just, and then you see the hand. And he's up there just raging. And he's completely out of control. Oh my God, it's terrifying, dude. This still gets me. The hand. Oh my God, so great.
See, and he only shows you enough. He doesn't abuse it.
God, it's so good.
And I love how he just cuts it off.
And it just stops. Wait, hold on. We're not there yet. God almighty. That is terrifying.
And what an image. You don't have to see it, but just to picture him doing that and just be like,
oh my God. That's what it is. It's not just that he doesn't show you the gore and your mind creates the images. It's this stuff too. You're right, Rick. The fact that you don't see it, you don't see him raging like he is. You just catch glimpses. And what it is, I can't remember who I heard say this recently, but they were making the point that especially when it comes to editing, our minds naturally, we're pattern seeking machines. So we want to fill in gaps. And what a movie like that does, like great movies like this do so well, is they give us the opportunity to fill in gaps. And that's why it works so great. Hold on a second. We got a message here from the great Gamma. Even Scream 2 had to deal with the sudden invention of caller ID. Yes, it did. Yes. Yeah. But I feel like in that one, and honestly, that's probably one of the many potential issues with obviously the new Scream movies, because once you get into like smartphones and everything, but then again, I guess you could argue like tech has also made it to where the idea of like cloning and hiding, there's things that somebody who's tech savvy enough could, no pun intended, mask what they're doing, right? And then just the fact that this is what's interesting. So cheat or not a cheat, that after all of that, Peter just conveniently happens to be outside the house, cleans the window. Like, Jess, are you down? Like, how would he know she was in the basement? How would he possibly know that? I acknowledge that's a flaw, and they did it.
You're right. This movie sucks.
Yay!
I take everything back.
You know what? I take it back. The 2019 is actually
Look
a better
at that.
film. Just kidding.
That is terrifying.
Oh yeah, that you just that idea of like somebody just looking, trying to see at you, and you assume it's a killer, right? But then we just get that. But you know what I mean? Like, why would he have known that she was in the basement? Like, you could have heard her screaming, but how would you know that that's where she ended up? You know what I mean? So I feel like it was done that way to give us that sense that it was him, but then obviously the way the movie ends up, it's not.
I mean, for all we know, Billy was outside. That could have been him, and then maybe he even stalked back when he sees Peter show up. You could even,
Yeah, I would argue that what you have to do is take this movie with what I will call urban legend logic, right?
True,
you really think about true urban legends, like when you hear them as a kid, when you think about them for like 2 seconds, they kind of tend to fall apart, or why would they have done that if, but as a whole, they're terrifying. They're always terrifying. And the way this movie ends, especially, everyone always complains. If anybody wants to knock this movie to me, they always go to the ending, which I love the ending of this movie. I think it's terrifying and chilling, and it's the perfect end. Like, I want to end every one of the movies I ever make like this movie ends, where it's just silence and a ringing phone or some equivalent. I kind of try to get to semi rip it off with Whole Town, because I have like, it's like after something has happened to a character and he's like kind of screaming and crying, and then you like just hear like the crickets of the trees and like the credits roll, and like that's all you hear. I love that. But again, urban legend logic, it makes perfect sense that she would be in the house, left alone by the cops, and he's still there. It makes total sense with urban legend logic. Normal logic, not so much. I grant you, but
it could also be Canadian logic. Be fair.
Canadian logic. Lou and Bill, I hope you're not watching. I love my Canadian brethren.
Canadian logic. Yeah, for a split second when he was outside looking through the window, I could have sworn it was Geddy Lee trying to break in through the basement window.
Geddy Lee.
He's a handsome devil.
Yeah. What's all the yelling about? But he's dressed very similar, right? The images we did get of Billy, they're dressed almost identically. But that image we did see of him when he was getting ready to kill Barb, it was obviously not Peter. I mean, you could clearly make out a face, and it wasn't Peter.
Yeah. That's a kid, we know that, but Jess doesn't know that.
Correct. Now, her screams make sense. Now, I guess you could make the argument if they could hear the screams that clearly. Maybe he could have heard, if he was stalking around outside, he would have heard her screaming. And who knows? And maybe that's why Billy stopped banging on the door. He heard Peter coming.
That could be.
Peter could have gone to the door, been banging on it, and then he stopped. And then when Peter went around the house trying to figure out where she was, and who knows? Maybe he looked in and saw her. Although, because actually, remember, I'm trying to think how it plays out. He comes down the stairs. I guess he could have seen, like through a window, could have seen Jess, but he would have probably seen Billy too, I would think.
Yeah, I agree.
I love this. Like, it's now that 1970s. Was it like 3M?
Yeah,
blood
I take
or
back
something?
what I said about the Giallo blood. That's total. Yeah.
That pink sort of like. Yeah, I kind of love that. I kind of would love to do something with that color blood in it.
Oh,
you
yeah.
know, like Dawn of the Dead blood. I love that.
Reminds me of like melted crayon.
Yes, exactly what it's like. What wax? Yeah. This moment right here is what makes this movie an urban legend, and that's why I love it so much.
Yeah. Look. But how many murders have happened in this house? Let's just leave her in the house.
Yep.
Put her upstairs in bed.
Yep.
They left
we'll figure all this out.
Come on now.
Exactly.
I mean, if you think about it, look, Bob Clark was a smart guy, and everybody involved in this movie was smart. They had to have that discussion. Okay, how are we justifying it? Now, I feel like if I'm Bob Clark, my answer to that is I don't care. It's going to be haunting and terrifying.
Creepy. Yeah, at this point, we got him.
As hell, and we've got him. And honestly, on your drive home, might you go, wait a minute? Yeah, I don't care. They made it through the movie. And they're
well, I mean, you said it perfectly.
The whole terror of the movie is the fact that he was in the house and nobody knew it. So of course you got it. Spoiler for those of us.
If you do
those of you that are watching the first time, it's like you can end it the same way.
Yeah. What's that, Rick?
I would say if you just do it right, the audience is going to give you. They're going to buy into all of it. It's like Spielberg said when people gave him shit about the idea of the oxygen tank and the jaws and shark's mouth. The producers were like, "What? That's ridiculous." And he goes, "If I give them the ride for 2 hours, they'll give me that one moment."
Yeah. Yes.
And Clark has entertained you and made you so afraid at this point, you're going to buy it.
Yep. Well, it's like with the movie Home Alone, and not that we have to go down the road with Home Alone, but it's ridiculous. But if you watch it as if it's like either a combination of like a fairy tale mixed with like a Looney Tune cartoon, especially in the last 20 minutes or so,
you buy it.
You buy it. You totally buy it, and you're engaged in it. So who cares? Yeah. This I think was the argument. They had to get the dad out because he passed out. Or Claire's dad passes out because he found out about his daughter. Right. So they take him out, but they leave the unconscious Jess.
Right.
But it's just so great because we hold on this shot and we just let people move in and out of the frame. So great, dude. This is hey, turn off the light. Yeah, let her go to sleep. Get to sleep. It's all fine now. It's all fine. We got the killer. She got the killer. That Peter guy's unhinged. I mean, I get why they would think that the killer was gone. I get it.
What do they say in the Evil Dead commentaries all the time? Everything's fine now.
Yeah. Everything is just fine. But just how it holds. I mean, we're holding for a good, how many? I mean, like a good, okay. Then we slowly,
I mean, you could have rolled credits there. People expected you to roll credits.
Yeah, but then it's like, oh.
And then the minute starts moving.
And no music, by the way.
And this is the moment, as a child, I was terrified to the point where I would run underneath the attic crawl space in our house to go to the bathroom at night.
Very Halloween ending, right?
Yes, showing the kill area. Yeah, yes.
Yep.
And then we get
and again, even at this point for its day, like
I'm impressed the camera picked up in the
hasn't kicked in here.
I had that same thought today when rewatching it. Same thought. I'm like, nah, that is the camera, man.
Yeah, it's a good camera. They didn't catch any reflection of any of the crew, anybody.
He went right at an angle.
Yeah.
Perfectly.
Yep. And we just get this.
I mean, you know, this is what there's. Okay, we're going back. Claire's suitcase is packed. We're just sort of recapping the entire story. There's no reason to be freaked out yet.
Yes.
And then you hear that.
And you get a little bit of that. Didn't you get? I've got my volume pretty low. I think you get a little bit of that discordant.
A little bit of gig.
Yeah.
Oh, it's a Billy giggle. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then the singing starts. And then the minute you see the ladder in the attic, you're like, holy shit.
You can hear can you hear like wind? My volume's really low.
Yeah, you can kind of hear the wind from the outside for the uninsulated sort of attic. Yeah.
Yeah, there it is. And that you hear the rocking squeak.
Yeah. Bye, baby bunting. Daddy's gone.
Oh my God.
Oh, man.
And then the bodies that are still up there with them, they never found.
Yeah.
It's me, Billy.
I know, poor Claire.
It's me, Billy. And then just that slow. And you know, Bob Clark said, I don't give a crap how ridiculous it is that they wouldn't have searched this whole house. I want that final shot to be Claire in the window. And you just keep pulling back.
Yeah.
And then we'll roll credits. And
every time I watch this, I just try to stare, seeing if I can see her move before it. You know what I mean?
I just see if she does. She does a great job.
Breathe or something. I just want to see the bag.
Griffin did a fantastic job. Which, by the way, I need to rewatch Thanksgiving again. I'm still pissed that I only got to see it once. She is in Thanksgiving. Lynn Griffin. She plays a grandma.
Yeah, you were saying that.
Yeah.
Here it comes.
Now there is a cop outside. They didn't completely leave her. It's not like they completely left the premises. They do have the cop. It's probably Nash. Probably left, and then the phone just starts to ring, which means you know something. Yeah. Now we don't know if she's dead. That would be the assumption.
I think she's gone, unfortunately. I think you got her.
And then it just rings and just no music. Oh, mwah, chef's kiss. Yes, bravo.
Now, what I will say is, if I had been able to meet Bob Clark, I would have said, "Sir, the only flaw you made in that movie was dissolving in that final shot." I would have just kept that coming out and out, but he does a dissolve to go to the wider shot.
Yeah, I'm gonna guess that was it. That was
case to death. It's worth the sacrifice for the art.
But I would say because of when he did, because he already did the thing where he looks like he pulled through the glass, right, and then it dissolves. I'm just guessing.
There's a little.
I'm guessing it was a timing thing, right? They just didn't get back far enough to this final, locked place where they wanted the credits to roll, and they had to. I'm guessing that was the thought process. And then the ring is louder.
Halloween, but I even feel like this with the ring at the credits is like Michael and breathing.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah, the end, you know what I mean?
And I love it gets louder. Like the ringing,
and it serves the same purpose.
Yes,
he's still out there.
He's still out
right?
there. Yeah. Oh, it's so great, dude. God, what a great movie.
The final thing I'll say with that and the Halloween comparisons, we all know everything's already been done,
Yes.
So it's like to me, just talk about your influences. Yeah, I think the only time Carpenter really referred to any influence on Halloween was the music, which he said was definitively inspired by Deep Red and Argento and Goblin.
Yeah.
But it's just such a well-made movie, man. It's so good.
Well, I am grateful that you were here to do this with us, because this was a experiment. I don't think all of our live streams are going to be like this. In fact, probably most of them won't be. But we figured it's Christmas time. We wanted to get one more live stream in for the end of the year. Going into 2024, our intent is to do at least one a month.
Nice.
So, but we're gonna have like different topics, and so I'm sure we'll have you on again, Rick, to discuss various movie-related things.
I love doing this, the commentaries and watch-alongs, because I mean, if you think about this, we all have these respective shows, and we talk about movies, but what always happens, Joel, you watch something, Rick, you watch something, I watch something on our own, and then you get together for a podcast or a YouTube show or whatever, and you talk about it. We never get to watch stuff together at the same time.
Fair.
And
right.
You know what I mean?
Get a reaction.
It's a total different conversation. There's no way this show would have gone the way it just did had this been just a review after
and it's great because you can bring up something I may not know about, vice versa.
Yeah, and thanks to RJ for being there. He says,
"Good
job, guys."
It looks like he stuck it out with us, man.
That or he did the pro move, which is to come in early enough to let us know he was here, and then go about his life, and then he goes,
just muted it.
Good job, guys.
Yeah. He's watching.
He's
watching Real Housewives of LA while we're talking about Black Christmas.
You need to create a sticker for the person with the most comments.
That would be RJ.
Yeah.
RJ wins the comments, I think, this go around. But I think everybody who stopped by a mom and pop video shop for this. That's great. RJ says he feels seen. Of course you are, RJ. But this was a lot of fun. I'm glad we got to do it. I guess, if you're seeing this way after the fact, I think it'd be interesting to see if anybody actually would watch something like this after the initial run of it, but why not? Let us know what you thought in the comments below. And I guess then, and any final things you want to say, Tyson, Rick, before we sail off the sunset?
No, thanks. For those that have stayed the whole time, again, thanks to Rick for joining us. Hopefully we can do this again soon.
Halloween Babies podcast, and have a great night, guys. So thank you very much, my friend. Thank you.
Yeah, and I would just say everyone out there who is unfamiliar with his work, check out Bob Clark's stuff, especially Death Dream and
especially Death Dream.
Shouldn't Play with Dead Things.
I didn't like that one as much. I'm not gonna lie.
Really?
I actually got to clean a print of that. We'll tell this story later offline. But I actually got to clean an actual 35 millimeter print for that during an internship at it was like a place that stored old prints and also did like sound work and all this kind of telecine work and all this kind of stuff in Orlando back in the 90s. And I got to clean it. So I knew what it was. It was like amazing. I'm actually going to clean this print of Church, but I never saw it. Like I didn't see it until like a year or so ago for the first time. I did not like it, dude. It was
really
I didn't like at all. It was a slog. And I love Death Dream. Just so we're clear. Right. Love it. And I love a low budget, like super DIY. Let's put on a show, kids. I just couldn't get in. And I love that title. I think Children Shouldn't Play with Dead Things is one of the greatest titles ever. I just couldn't get into that freaking movie. I'm sorry.
Wonder why
we'll talk about a Giallo title.
What's that? Was that Rick?
I wonder why they didn't remake that one. You think?
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, you think that would be one to remake. But anyway, so I guess then, Rick, do you want to tell them anywhere they can find you, or?
Basically just through my Facebook page currently. Just look up Rick Patterson, and yeah.
Cool. We'll link it in the description when we finally get that up. And I guess in the meantime, then remember at Mom and Pops, our love of Tyson
Death Dream
never, ever, ever, ever stops.